Sponsor an orphan and you'll help support a vulnerable child to have the education they've always dreamed of, so they can build a brighter future. You'll be feeding a hungry stomach and a hungry mind with knowledge that will last them a lifetime. That's the power of an education. Sponsor an orphan now with Islamic Relief.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. I'm your host, Preacher Moss, the host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. Hope that you're having a fabulous day. Oh, man, I have to tell you, man, I am tired following the ISNA road circus, but I'm feeling better. I hope you guys had a great day. We're at hump day. You know how Wednesdays are, but I'm just grateful to be here. Honestly, just grateful to be. And I appreciate you guys tuning in with us. Today's topic, brothers and sisters, is American politics. Why can't we be friends? Well, the term "why can't we be friends" actually comes from a song from the 70s from the group War. And the group War contended the fact that the aspect of political animosity always carries out an agenda against the people it's supposed to serve. When I think about why can't we be friends, it also speaks to the fact that the politics, the body politic that we elect, that we enjoin to produce laws, to produce change, to protect, is in serious danger. I'm going to give you a couple of examples, maybe some that you already know, maybe some that you don't already know. I mean, we always have examples in the news of people who will break the law, but also break the bonds and break the constitutional realities that we were a fractured country, but there's always a need to protect those who are less. When I say those who are less, what I mean is the people who are the sick, the people who are the children. We owe them an opportunity that they can have a meaningful life. At my juncture in my lifetime, at 55, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm on the other side of life right now. Like they say, I got more future behind me than I have more past behind me than I have future. There's a lot of truth to that. But really just trying to have a really coherent understanding of what's going on in politics today. Ostensibly, politics does not work. And one of the reasons politics does not work is that people have not just agendas. I'm saying people have out and out intentions to destroy or do away with other people. Destroy might be too strong, but to do away with other people is not strong. To disregard other people is not as strong. It's not too strong an assessment that I'm giving you right now. Over the last 9 years, I've watched people be subjugated through laws, subjugated through political activity, subjugated through propaganda, whereby their rights in some regards and their rights to exist in other regards have been somehow subsumed, whereby the politician holds their rights in their hand. I'm a religious man. Many of you that watch the show, you're religious people. You know, there's always a danger when politicians play God. There was a song by the Last Poets. It said, the white man's got a God complex. I'm going to reiterate, the white politician has a God complex. There's no place in there for understanding for people of color, the poor, the oppressed, nor children. We have an ongoing assault of people who are in the know that do not know anything about empathy. They do not know anything about fairness. They don't know anything about equality. In fact, I would say that they use the law as a bludgeon against those who do know. They use the law as a bludgeon against those who are educated on it. And it gives them a platform of nothing. Because even in the end, they don't have the power they think that they've achieved through the relationship with these politicians. We're going to talk about that today. I'm going to give a couple examples, and I'm going to try, hopefully, to kind of make the points and connect the dots as to what I'm talking about. Yesterday we talked about, do manners matter? I remember I said yesterday, when one of my teachers in civics class, government, says, Mr. Moss, what do you think is a good law? I said, a good law has manners. Well, guess what? The people who make those laws need to have manners as well. Don't move. You're on the Shout Out Show with Preacher Moss, everybody. We'll see you. We'll be right back here. Let's roll. All right, everybody, we're back. Welcome to the SOS the Shout Out Show. Our topic today is American politics. Why can't we be friends? Before we do that, we want to get into our comment section. The Shout Out Show family, the stars in the building, the Shout Out Show soldiers. Of course, we got Sister Ree. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sister Ree, Sister Rawlins. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to see you in a place. Peace to you and your husband and your son. Thank you so much. Next up, we call him Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down. Our main man, Altar for She. What's going on, beloved? Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much. Wa alaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Appreciate you, man. Our Canadian envoy to the show, always in the house. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. And we got my little brother, Johnny L. Thomas, better known as JT. Wa alaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to you, beloved. Hopefully you got that tablet to your little girl, to your baby. Otherwise, you should not be on the Shout Out Show unless she has her tablet, because she will probably be jumping in that the comment section saying, where is my tablet? So I'm going to make sure we take care of the babies. Good seeing you today, man. Good lunch today. We'll catch up a little bit later. Next up, my main man. Wa alaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. What's going on, Brother Adam? Brother Adam has been elevated to be, let me see, wa alaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. He's been added, he's been upgraded, he has been promoted to Altar's position. He is the Canadian ambassador to the show. There's no money in it, brother. We just give out titles here on the show. Love you, man. Next up, what's going on, Brother Eric? My main man, E. Can I just call you E, man? I've been calling you Eric Carter for a long time. Wa alaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, E. Thank you so much for joining me, man. We appreciate you and your presence on the platform as always, man. Hope you're having a blessed day. Next up, the big homie. He says, well, he says, Salam, it's us three today. Let me tell you who us three are. First of all, wa alaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The three is Brother Blau, his queen, Sister Sonia, and his grandson, who he had watching the show yesterday. He sent me a picture of his grandson watching the show. He's getting him acclimated to the Shout Out Show early in the game, and we appreciate you. Hug that baby. He's a charmer. Hug that baby. Okay. And what can we do? Well, how can we even have a show without Sister Satana Whitfield, our consultant producer, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, who does so much more? She does the show. She does project management. She works with the Preacher Moss Muslim Comedy Festival. She's doing intermediary work. She promotion coordinator with us up. She's doing it all, brothers and sisters. So we're just happy to have her on the show. And of course, the Queen Mary. What's going on, Mama Son? Howdy, SOS family. It probably took her 11 minutes to type that, brothers and sisters. So we should actually applaud her. You're doing good, Mom. All right, I should have said that, but it might be true. Okay, look, Mom, we appreciate you being on the show. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to you. So, and I thank everybody for joining the show. Feel free to join in. We have people making comments yesterday. Feel free. This is where today's subject starts. American politics. Why can't we be friends? You're going to hear about a ruling fairly soon. It didn't crack the top 10 thing, but it's very important. There's a ruling out of Texas, ironically, that goes against the American Care, the American Care Act, Obamacare, and in it, several employers have gotten a judge to rule against the fact that they have to provide contraceptive care, specifically HIV prevention care, to their employees. Now, first of all, you have to think about it like this, and this is really important. This ruling that they're saying about their employees is going to be applicable to everybody's employees, to everybody that provides Obamacare. And what it is they're doing it on the grounds of religious. They have religious reasons not to do it. That they're saying that we shouldn't have to provide this stuff for HIV because we're monogamous, because we don't have HIV issues. And it's really, it's tangibly, and I want to say morally wrong. Because the idea is, because we don't believe in those type of things, as a business that deals with the public and overall public, that we should not have to deal with these things that the public brings to the workplace. Now, you may say, hey, man, this is just, we're only talking about HIV prevention medicine. They're talking about medicine, brothers and sisters, that has a 99% effectiveness rate against HIV. In the city of Houston, in the city of Houston, per se, this HIV prevention has brought down HIV numbers astronomically. Now, people are going to say, well, what does that mean, preach? What it is, and let's be very, very clear, the percentage of people that are using the HIV prevention medicine are not homosexual. They're saying that 1 out of 3 are women. Now, this rolls into the whole aspect of women reproductive rights. That the door that was open for Roe versus Wade, a lot of times didn't have to do just with abortion. It had to do with access to healthcare, preventive healthcare, solid healthcare. And the idea that you pick and choose this one thing that you're going to pull a string hoping that it's going to tumble. By the way, the person that issued this lawsuit originally has constantly been going after the Affordable Care Act over and over and over and over. I call it the American Care Act. I'm sorry. The Affordable Care Act. It's been going over. If you know law, it'll get to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is going to turn it around and say no. Just because when Obama wrote the Affordable Care Act, he was a lawyer. He figured out a lot of things in the context of loopholes and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, though, the idea that a group of people that hold a particular religious ideology can somehow move the needle on healthcare that affects over 150 million people. Therein lies the problem that we talk about in terms of American politics. You just have probably turned on your TV. If you haven't turned on your TV or picked up your phone, there was a ruling that was given for a special magistrate for Donald Trump. This is a person who was found with all kinds of files in his house. Now, I'm not going to get into the content of the files, but I'm just going to say, if I was found, or Sultana was found, or anybody here was found, well, in one of these files that said top secret, we would be locked up. Because we're not supposed to have the files. That there's a pecking order. I went to military school. There's a chain of command of people who have files. And when you're no longer in the know, you don't get to keep the files. Not just one, we're talking thousands of files. And you're talking about a person who has demonstrated demonstrably that he is not mentally well in terms of anything. A man that 2 years later is still arguing about an election that he lost handily. That he doesn't mention the lawsuits that he put out that were jokes. Literally, the person who wrote his writ for this appeal, it was a joke in all legal circles. And the only reason that we're talking about it is because he got it in front of a judge that he put on the bench. Politics has gotten into that. Politics is you talk about men in positions of power and men trying to be in positions of power. But the tangible aspect is you're afraid of the power it takes to fight. You're afraid of the power. See, here's the deal. I'm not saying that these politicians are soft or moist, but most of them are. Call it what it is. Got a lot of moist men in positions. And moist men in positions, in terms of politicians, they do damage to people who are not moist. They do damage to people who are not afraid. The people who are afraid attack people who are not afraid. And the way that they get at them is they gut things that give us our liberty. They gut things that give us our opportunities. They gut things that give us our power. They gut things that allow us to question. They gut things that allow us to answer in loud volumes that we are not happy with the status quo. And over and over and over again, let's be honest, it's become exceedingly white. It's become exceedingly scary. And it's become exceedingly common that these things somehow are, I want to say, put out a lot more. I'll tell you about politics right now. The old politics back in the day had a tangibility. And the tangible aspect of the old politics is that whatever laws were coming down, it was meant to make sure in some way, shape, or form that Black existence was going to be taxed. And if it wasn't going to be taxed, it was going to be compromised. And that was the example for everybody who was not white or rich, that this can happen to you over a period of years. You know, we talk about Islamophobia. Again, this has been a political ploy, a political football that's been kicked around for years. But these people know that in the end, they're not afraid of Muslims. They're afraid of Black existence. They're afraid of Muslims that connect with Black people. They're afraid of Latinos and Mexicans that connect with Black people. They're afraid of poor whites who somehow get it. Man, damn, I'm in the same boat as them. And they're envious of us because at least we know they're in the boat. At least we know we're in the boat. Other people in the boat don't even know that they're drowning. And the politicians lack the wherewithal. And this is really, really important. They lack the wherewithal to say, we're in trouble. Biden recently came out with a speech and he started taking the GOP, the current GOP, or the wannabe GOP to task, saying that they're a danger to the Constitution. They're a danger to freedom. You can say what you want to about Joe Biden, and there's a lot of things I can say. But what he's saying is overdue. The problem is you have politicians worried about position more so than being worried about their purpose. So why can't we be friends is the fact that it's hard to have a friend, it's hard to have an associate, it's hard to have a relationship with people that don't understand their purpose in a situation, who don't understand, at some point in time, you're going to have to step up to the plate and sacrifices have to be made. Joe Biden, speaking of truth to power at this point in time, there's a high probability he won't run again. We may not elect him again to run again. We'll find another candidate from the Democratic Party to run for Joe Biden. But it won't be because Joe Biden doesn't understand politics. It'll be because he does understand politics. It won't be because Joe Biden did try to do things. He tried to do things, but they weren't popular. And as you enter the foray of politics going to the midterm elections, what you begin to find is people are running away from topics that they pushed for at one point in time, and now they're not popular at all. I've been watching politicians, particularly GOP, backtrack. Hear me now, backtrack from things that they said about Roe versus Wade. Backtrack about some of the things they said about abortion. Backtrack about the exemptions that they were taking out of Roe versus Wade to make this thing, to appeal what they thought to appeal to the constituency. Human nature is not about constituency. It's about consistency. As African Americans and other oppressed people, as African Americans and other oppressed people, we clearly strike a nerve every time we say, well, that's not right. We strike a nerve every time we go, well, you said this the last time. The constant idea that your existence serves as a reminder that your spirit ain't right, that your politics aren't right, that I am not to trust you. If you ever want to have fun, hang out with an elder and watch TV when a politician is on. And the clear part of it is you're going to get a lot of comedy because their logic is very, very found. It's very foundational. It's very solid, because they know about right and wrong. Literally, American politics is not about right or wrong. It's about the left and the right. The left and the right. And when you're talking about a particular type of pluralism in American politics, it cannot agree on the fact that everybody has a place at the table. That quite literally, children should be our number one priority. The ability to give children an opportunity in life is the number one priority. And it comes with certain types of things, brothers. This is the right to education, the right to jobs, the right to be able to live in good places, the right to be able to start your own business. We are watching politicians literally snatch that away from the American fabric, snatch it away from the American dream. And this is what they've offered. If you are to literally look at, and we're going to come back on this, because I want to make sure that we touch on this. You literally look at the population of the people who are supposed to be privileged, who are supposed to be elite. They are, by many definitions, incomplete. They are inferior. Given all the opportunities they have, they are inferior. And that creates a certain type of resentment, and it's carried over into politics. We are watching failed individuals give us failed policies, and the only way that the failed policies can work is to make sure that we are bigger failures than they are. We'll be right back here on the Shout Out Show talking about American politics. Why can't we be friends? Hey, babies. Welcome to Radio WCUC, Convenient Urgent Care, home of the smart patient. This is DJ What It Do. You know what time it is. It's the top of the hour, and the request lines are open. You know what you want to hear. I know what you want to hear. Operators are waiting.
I just got to hear Don't Get the COVID.
Don't get the COVID. Put your mask back on. The Delta COVID, more contagious than before. Don't get the COVID. Go on and get the vaccine. You know that it can keep you safe, and your people living up in your space. Don't get the COVID. You need to wash your hands. The Delta COVID is more deadly than before. Don't get the COVID. Go on and get your vaccine. You know that it can keep you from dying. Don't leave your family all alone and crying. Don't get the COVID.
We invite you to join our fight against COVID and against misinformation. It's time to listen to the doctors and trust the science.
When I think of people dying that don't have to die, it makes me sad. Now's the time to be sober. Together we can make this thing over. Let's fight the COVID. Convenient urgent care, home of the smart patient.
Shout out to Convenient Urgent Care, 3 locations in Houston, Pasadena, and Cypress. So listen, there's a great quote from KRS-One from one of his songs. He says, he talks about the police. He said, "You were sent to protect us, but who protects us from you? You were sent here to protect us, but who protects us from you? That is the state of modern politics. It is there's a cannibalistic state to it, brothers and sisters. That the machine has to eat up the hopes and dreams of all the other people to exist. When you start thinking about something as small as I talked about with this ruling down in Texas about HIV, denying HIV prevention drugs to people, I think it's scary in the fact that the people who are going to be affected the most are going to be minorities, the people who didn't have access to good health care in the first place, who needed things like the Affordable Care Act, emphasize that employers provide health care. And slowly but surely, it is how can we scale down the offerings of this health care? We talked about Roe versus Wade before. You can move that to the side. And this is a little bit more subtle because this ruling will definitely affect the idea of preventive medicine. So we're not talking about reproductive medicine. We're talking about preventive medicine. We're talking about mammograms, talking about pap smears. We're talking about diabetes checks, high blood pressure. See, these are the things that folks don't seem to understand. And oddly enough, let me throw out that as this ruling has come through, there's been an absolute uproar from the LGBTQ community. We've heard nothing. Because these are poor black folks, poor Latinos, and poor whites. I keep telling you, folks, you gotta look at the breadcrumbs. Not a peep, not an uproar. And let me tell you even something more. The people who were standing out on the corner for Roe versus Wade, here's another attack, and there's not even a piece of confetti. Not one protest note. You gotta, I want to shout out my mentor, Harry Weber, who taught me target segmentation in terms of marketing. But he told me about target segmentation in terms of politics. That you can look at the people who are the interlopers, you can look at the people who generally care about a subject, you can look at the people who are opportunists, and you can look at the people who are enemies. And as you began to do that, I would encourage all of us to put them in these categories. This thing right now, it may be appealed, but it'll take a little bit of time to be appealed. And what happens is it's going to run through, quote unquote, a political process, but it'll run through a legal process. And we may have the same situation as we have with Mar-a-Lago and the special master, that we all know that this thing is egregious. It's egregious. Bill Barr, former attorney general, said that this thing is egregious, ridiculous. But if you put it in a judge's hand, he can stand. And I tell us all the time, I mean it all the time, that we are a country that lives by laws. And if you guys want to know why people hate critical race theory, it's because critical race theory questions, it poses the question, if a law is disingenuous to one group of people, is it an effective law? That's all critical race theory does. That's all it looks at. And people don't want you to look at critical race theory because you're going to start asking questions. You're going to peel back some things, not just on what they've been saying now, but what's been said to you 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. This thing, just with this HIV prevention, this is a cause fatale for critical race theory. The same thing that they want you to know. We don't want our white kids going to school feeling guilty about being white. I don't care about your white kids. I don't care about your white kids. We do talk about history. We do talk about legal precedent. We do talk about fairness. Those are the things that are important. Now, how is it you don't want us to have a conversation about those things? Well, until that time, brothers and sisters, keep your eye on these folks. Watch your local politicians. Scrutinize your local politicians, and put them through a meaningful lens, a meaningful filter of some aspects of color, critical race theory or critical politics theory. How about that? Frame it up. So look, I'm out of here. You guys have been great. I'll see you tomorrow, inshallah. Thank you guys again for all your support. Shout out to Miss Eleanor. We hope Miss Eleanor is feeling better. She has been on the show in a while. I continue to ask all of us to send her du'as. She's a part of our Shadow Show family. And I got to give shout out to the big homie. Went to visit him today, Johnny L. Thomas Sr. Okay, I'm out. You guys take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.